Hello everyone. Today we're going to cover Booleans and how to use them, conditionals. I'll show you real quick assigning a default value, what this exclamation point not operator is. So let's dive in. First I want to show that this Boolean can be assigned a default value. So Booleans, this data type, has two possible values. You have true and you have false. That's it. We can assign, when we're creating these variables, we can assign their values immediately. In this case, it won't matter because we're going to be changing the value. But in some cases, you want a default value. So here is how you would assign the default value if you wanted one. Now, looking a little bit closer at this example, this exclamation point will just switch the Boolean to the other value. That's what flipping the Boolean means. So let's assume these two lines of code didn't run. If I flipped this Boolean, like right here, this would become false, and then if I flipped this Boolean, this one would become true. So that's what the exclamation point is doing. And if it doesn't make immediate sense why I'm flipping the Boolean, it will later. Just keep going with it. So right now, what we want to do, I'm going to remove this because it doesn't do anything useful. What we want to do is optimize our code a little bit. So it's great that the try parse is catching the error. It's telling us if it's successfully parsed what was in the text box or not. But it's doing something kind of funny. It's showing 3 message boxes. And really, we kind of only want to show either this code or this code, right? We only want to show the total if it was successfully able to read the text boxes. So we can do that. So earlier we showed what this if conditional does. It looks for the value of the Boolean. It looks for the value of what's inside the parentheses specifically. The way we've set it up is it looks for the value of the Boolean, it looks for the flipped value of the Boolean, and then it enters this block of code. So that's the if statement. We can build off the if statement to create if-else statements. So let's do that. If-else statements are, if this is true, enter this block, otherwise enter this other block. So let's bring up an example of that. So let's say if this is true, enter this block of code. And then if this else if here, what the else if will do is very similar to the if, but now these two are linked, meaning it's only going to evaluate this code. If this code is true, we're going to enter this block of code, and it won't even look at this. So now they're linked. It's only going to do one or the other. And then there's the default else block, which I'm going to put this remaining code within. So what this code will do here is it's going to evaluate this statement. If this statement is true, it's going to display this, and then it's going to skip these two. If this is false, it's going to check this statement, this conditional. If this is true, it's going to run everything inside of these scope blocks and skip everything after, because these 3 statements are now linked together. So let's run the code and watch that in action. So we're just going to click. We know that when these are blank, it produces an error, which means parse success did not work. So we already know that. Let's run it. So the first line of code here, it's looking for, let's pull this out of the way so we can read our code. We did price, parse success right here. We're checking that. Incorrect data. So this text box is empty. We enter this block, and it doesn't run either of these. It just finishes. Let's put a number in there. So now this one will parse correctly. Okay, now item text box. It's running this code because this code is not parsing correctly. So this code passed. So this was true. We flipped it. We made it false. So this if statement did not get entered. Then we jump to this if statement. And then this parse did not succeed. So we enter this block here. Now let's put both of them. Let's enter a value in both fields. So we would expect this code to be successful. And it is. Meaning, we've defined our success field to be this area right here. That's our success field. You can define it many other ways. There's various other ways to organize this code. You don't have to do it this way. This was done just to show what if, else looks like. So here we have the total being calculated, and it's only showing this message box. Now, this is a great way to organize the code. I'm going to show another way where, well, what if I wanted to show both these message boxes if they're both empty? Right now, it only will show one of them if they're both empty. So we can reorganize the code ever so slightly, and in the process, we'll learn about something else, which is the relational Boolean. So code is still running. Gotta press that little stop button. So I'm going to call it nesting. I'm going to put if-else's inside of each other. And now I want to check, how do I get it to display both message boxes? Well, the first thing I need to do is remove this else. So now it's going to evaluate both statements. The else if linked the two if statements. You remove that else if. Now it will evaluate both statements regardless. Why did I put this else in here? So this if else here protects, what this is doing is it's only going to either look at this or only look at this, which makes sense. If it's successful, we only want to display this. If it's not successful, if it's not able to read both these text boxes, we don't want to display what's highlighted. And we protect against that by putting this if-else here. It's only going to either do what's in here, or it's only going to do what's in here. What does this snippet of code do? So here, we're checking this value and this value like we did earlier with this double vertical bar, which is the OR operator. There's a few different operators. The not operator, as we showed here, and then the AND operator and the OR operator. So this OR operator here, it's going to look at this piece of information or this piece of information. It's looking at both pieces of information, but the OR is only looking for either of them to be true. If either of them evaluate to true, so meaning if this doesn't successfully read, or if this doesn't successfully read, we run this code. If I switch this to the double ampersand, which is the AND operator, the code wouldn't really make a lot of sense. But yeah, this program wouldn't run as you would want it to. But what it would do is it would check if both of them don't run successfully. But that code wouldn't really be what we wanted. So let's make sure we put this OR operator in to correctly run our code. So now let's run and see what it does. So let's click calculate. Okay, we see that it's running price parse, price text box, incorrect data. It also says the item text box data is incorrect. Here it only says the item text box data is incorrect. Here it says only the price is incorrect. And here it displays that what we've put in the else block, because this now evaluates to false, and we jump straight into this. So that's a way to, here's a couple of different ways to incorporate conditionals. You can put conditionals inside conditionals. You can use these relational operators to evaluate multiple true-false statements, and we can use the else statement to say defer our code to doing something different. Also the else if to link if statements. So that's a good introduction into what the if else conditionals, and we'll stop there. Thanks for watching.